We talk a ton about four-year degrees, but what about the skilled trades that, let's be honest, keep our economy running? Today, we are diving deep into vocational training and a new model that's completely flipping the script. We're going to focus on the beauty industry as a case study, and what we found is, well, it's pretty astonishing.
So let's just jump right in with a bit of a puzzle. It's a regulatory requirement that, when you first see it, it kind of makes you question, well, everything. It points to a massive inefficiency in how we approach professional training.
And here it is, an EMT, right? They're trained for literal life or death emergencies. A cosmetologist provides incredibly important personal care. So why on earth does a cosmetologist need so many more mandated training hours? I mean, it just doesn't add up, does it?
Okay, look at these numbers. The scale of this is just staggering. We're talking 1,000 to 1,600 hours for a cosmetologist versus just 120 to 190 for an EMT. And look, of course, safety and sanitation in cosmetology are absolutely critical, but is this huge volume of hours really the best way to guarantee someone's competent? Or is it maybe a symptom of a broken system?
Yeah, because those excessive training hours, they aren't just inefficient. They are the engine of a system that all too often traps students in this awful cycle of debt for a diploma that just doesn't pay off. What we're seeing here are two completely different philosophies. On one hand, you've got the traditional entertainment-based model. It sells this glamorous lifestyle, which comes with really high tuition and even higher debt. But on the other hand, there's the professional discipline model, which is all about mastering the skills, meeting the legal standards, and keeping costs and debt as low as possible.
So what's the real-world result of that high-tuition, glamour-focused model? It's this number right here, 80%. According to new research, a staggering 80% of graduates from these for-profit beauty schools end up with debt but fail to earn more than they would have with just their high school diploma. It's an absolutely devastating financial trap.
And this cycle is so harmful that the federal government is finally stepping in. Under new rules, schools with these high-debt, low-income outcomes are facing what's called the Pell penalty. Basically, they risk losing access to federal student aid. It's a really clear signal that we need to protect students and taxpayers from programs that simply aren't working.
Okay, so if the old model is a trap, what's the escape route? Well, that brings us to a completely different way of thinking about all of this, a disciplined approach.
Really, this is all about a fundamental shift in mindset. The solution isn't to sell a lifestyle. It's to teach a profession. It's about building a structured, outcome-focused institution that has one primary goal: creating competent, licensed professionals who can build a career. So how does this model actually work in practice? Well, it's built on a few key pillars. First, a zero-disruption environment to help students focus. Second, strict regulatory compliance, so graduates are ready to work legally from day one. And the curriculum? It's laser-focused on the one thing that truly matters: passing that licensing exam. And the whole thing is built on a foundation of low tuition to keep students out of that debt trap we talked about.
This discipline model sounds good in theory, right? But what actually makes it work so well? Why is it so effective? Okay, this is where we get into the science of how we actually learn a skill. It all starts with a concept from cognitive science called cognitive load theory. The idea is actually pretty simple. Our brains have very limited working memory. Think about it like this: trying to learn in a noisy, chaotic room versus a quiet library. All that noise and distraction, scientists call that extraneous load. The professional discipline model is designed to eliminate that, so your brain can dedicate all its resources to the actual learning, the germane load. And then there's this theory of deliberate practice. See, research has shown that experts aren't just born, they're built through focused, structured training with constant feedback. It's not just about putting in the hours, it's about making every single hour count. That's how you get to true mastery.
So how do you take these theories and make them real? You build a zero-disruption environment. And this isn't just a vague idea, it's a real system. It means controlling noise, using time blocking for deep, focused work, and actively removing distractions. It even means automating all the boring paperwork to free up students' mental energy. Every single element is designed to clear the path for learning.
So we have the science and we have the system. But what's the ultimate outcome for the student? What's the payoff? It's something very real, very tangible. A license that opens the door to a real livelihood.
And this is so important to understand. Just completing the hours isn't the finish line. Getting licensed is. A license is that official credential that proves you have both the technical skill and the knowledge of the rules. what you could call regulatory literacy, to work safely and legally. It is the absolute key to unlocking a career.
And you can see the economic power of this approach right here. A skincare specialist can earn back their low-cost tuition in just over 4 months. A manicurist? In about 3. That is a powerful, fast return on investment that launches graduates into a stable career without the crushing weight of long-term debt.
But this model doesn't just lead to jobs, it creates them. The beauty industry is a massive engine for entrepreneurship, especially for women. I mean, the growth in women-owned salons has far outpaced other private sector businesses. It's a direct pathway to owning your own business.
And it's a particularly crucial pathway for immigrant communities. Immigrants are nearly 30% more likely to start their own business, and the accessible, skill-based nature of the beauty industry makes it a perfect vehicle for building wealth and achieving economic stability in a new country.
And you know, in an age where everyone's worried about automation, this brings us to a simple, profound truth. As the educator Tran put it, AI cannot perform a pedicure. These are high-touch, human-centric skills. They are, in a very real sense, AI-proof, which makes them a secure and sustainable career path for the future.
So we've seen how a disciplined, science-backed model can turn vocational training from a debt trap into a launchpad for incredible careers, and this leaves us with one final, and I think crucial question. If this works so well for cosmetology, what other parts of our entire education system are long overdue for a similar rethink?